Make sure we got got the music going correctly. And yeah, we'll go here. Good. Okay, got the music going, got the audio going. Let's get some paint going. Hope everybody's doing all right today. I know it's a little bit of an impromptu pop in, but we're gonna continue to tidy these Marines up a little bit so they can get them in position to be varnished and then panel lined. It's my custom armor mix. Needs quite a bit of shaking up. Hope everybody's having a good weekend so far. It's Saturday morning here. It's a fun metallic, got quite a bit of copper to it, a lot of red tones. Good deal. I think I'm going to use my well for this as opposed to the wet palette. Maybe we'll tidy up some of the shoulder pads as well. Let me see about mixing some of that up here. I've got some cups handy. Clean up the highlights on the shoulders, and then we'll also be tidying up the overspray. Let me just get a couple drops of this out. See where we're at here. Just cleaning up here where things perhaps a little zealous. And there we have it. Maybe a little bit on this panel here as well. Helps keep things in perspective, especially if I got out of the lines a little bit on the Righty Gaming. Well, right out the gate, good morning. How are you doing? Hey. It's a Saturday, well, I guess afternoon now. How was your stream? How's everybody doing? I'm just gonna tidy up some of these little marks that we made. Just doing our due diligence before things get sealed in here. Righty says, can't stay, but saw you painting, so only seemed right to send some people over. I'm doing well, and I'm glad you stopped by. I hope you have a good day. I mean, it's the weekend, of course. You get to enjoy a little bit. We'll come back through after the varnishing process and be picking out some edge highlights because the metallic will get matted back and it'll lose a lot of its luster. So we'll be bringing some of that back in over top. We got the zombie dance team leader. Oh, look out. So official. We got Anaphylaxis in the room. If anybody's not following Anaphylaxis, incredible artist. She's back to streaming and killing it. This is a tabletop commission I'm working on right now. Figured I'd stream for a couple hours before heading to my local shop, and I'm going to paint with some of the local gamers there for a little while. They're trying to convince me to get back into the game. But I don't know. Oh, thank you. Well, you're welcome. Thank you for all the good art. Again, we're just tidying up. Like when I was airbrushing these shoulder pads to keep them smooth, oversprayed a little, got that red tend to look a little pink on top of everything else. Oso Loco, you legendary man. How are you today? We're just tidying up some tabletop quality work here. We got Zambies. Oh, Lurk. Coming in with a Lurk. She comes in so hot and heavy with them Lurks. I don't know. It's like I'm glad to see Zambies in here, but also, like, cool story. It was nice to chat. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think he's ready for his weapon to get tidied up, and then he's ready to hit the armies of the 41st century. Where we at here? Zambi says, had a lot of things to get done today, but I wanted to leave you some lurks. Well, thank you for sharing the love. Everybody shouting out to Oso. Anna says, I'm tearing my office apart today, so next stream is going to look different. I also got a new canvas, and I cannot wait. New blank canvas. It's got to have just a world of opportunity in front of it, huh? I'm sure it'll give you some ideas what it wants to see put on it. Oh, Zambi, thank you for the host. Sammy says weekends are hard for stream watching for me. Yeah, I'm almost impossible. If I'm not involved in streaming, then I don't really have time, which is sad, but because a lot of people do stream. Also coming in with another host. Look at this host train. Could it be stopped? I don't know. Anaphylaxis throwing out that ginger emote. I didn't do a bad job of putting these gaskets in here. There's not a whole lot to clean up. That's the thing, the more efficient you get as a painter, the easier the, tidying process can be. And after we're done with the varnish, I'll be going back through with some metallics and picking out edges to add some shine. I'm going to use, I'm going to matte the whole model, and then I'll high gloss, or I guess I'm going to high gloss the model first, and then I'll matte it back. But I'm going to mask off the shoulder pads so they stay shiny. And then we'll selectively edge highlight the metallics again, which should look good. But we'll see. I gotta decide what color I want to see this like rangefinder here. Anaphylaxis says, I'm so glad I got to catch you. I got a lurk too, but I'm excited to see how these turn out. Well, thank you so much. It is always nice when you sit like in the lurk, not even lurking, but like when you're on the other side of like the viewership and sitting there watching, talking to somebody. It's like, okay, so you get to meet them through the chat, but you and I have talked so many times while you're streaming, but I guess we finally got to meet completely. All right. See here. Yeah, this guy's looking pretty good. Might tidy up just this little bit here on his shoulder, his backpack. Make sure we're in focus here. Yeah, kicking out all those hearts. We have that. And some of these little splotchy marks here, I think I kind of wanted them to be more angled, so to speak. So we'll reclaim them just a little bit. Help force them to streak. Little by little. We'll get that nice effect that we're after. If you hear anything running in the background, it's my vacuum running around the house. Alright, let's see if we didn't, yeah. Covered up his handies, just, his little fingies got a little bit of black on them from when we dry brushed. Clean those up. Poor little fingies. And again, we're just checking for that overspray. Did a pretty good job on this one. Ooh. Okay. Please don't be permanent. Let's pretend like that didn't happen, huh? That was no good. But better now. Okay. Hope everybody's week went well. Maybe that portion in shadow, I think. Paint here. Just one of those things that kind of got to keep cleaned up after. I need to decide what I want to do with these hoses here. I don't know if anybody has any good ideas, but I am open. This guy. Shoulders look clean. Hands are a mess. These little fingers. And then what? Let's see here. Tidy this up just a little bit. I don't know how I like this, but we'll tidy that up a little bit as well. Add a little shape to it. These were some of the first ones I did the verdigris to, and they created these little splotches, which was fine, but I think they look better with a little bit of shape to them. Let's see how that looks. I'll try and tidy this up as well, just a little bit. Get the edge of this finger here. What do we have here? Zench Paradox. Is that what it is? They gave you the darkest blue. Says that corrosion looks really solid. Thank you. The green was really fun to work with. I think it contrasts nicely with the red on the shoulders. I think he's pretty tidy. I don't think we made too many. Maybe just a little bit here. Oh God. Slip just a little. See what happens. He's ready to jam. Just tidy this one up as well. Now that I like the look of where that one sat, so we're going to clean that out as well. LA Art, welcome to the stream. How are you now? We're just tidying up things a little bit before we progress on to the next step. Has anybody been working on anything fun this week? Here we go. We got a little bit of overspray here, no problem. Clean that up. See how that goes. Get this as well. Anaphylaxis says, I've been watching too much Letterkenny. When you said, how are you now? My brain immediately went to good and you. Turned into McMurray or whatever. Yeah, McMurray's his name. Not bad, good and you. Okay. I've seen a lot. I think I've seen all of Letterkenny now. I just finished the latest season a few days back. I think that's good. Ready to go. Anaphylaxis says, LOL, my husband and I have been watching it. It's so good. The first few seasons are exceptional. I feel like I'm just along for a ride now, but I mean, that happens. It is weirdly well written for kind of I should say, for the kind of garbage comedy that it is. They are really, really good at it, what they do. Just tidying up these little gaskets here. Yes, I agree, she says. Yeah, it's a good show. It's entertaining as all get out. I think that's all we're ever after. I think people don't give enough credit. Like, people talk about health and wellness and taking care of their bodies, but I don't think we talk about our mental diets. And a show like that is definitely some junk food, but it is, I think it's good. Please don't be permanent. Good. That's exactly what I want. I want just a little bit of this metallic paint to stick to this shoulder pad forever. That'll really make me happy. Well, we'll fix that. He's going over here. We gotta fix that pile. How did I get the paint everywhere? It's on my hand. It's a mess. It's gonna be on me like glitter. Once you get some on you, it's just there for life. No overspray here, that's good. Let's see if we overpainted any gaskets. Well, I don't know what this is, that's a mess. Get out of there. That's some foreign color. He's got a gasket on his arm needs done. Good otherwise, and his legs. He's going over here. Work to be done. Anaphylaxis says, I make such a mess every time I paint. I gave up trying to be careful a long time ago. That's fair. You probably spend more time tidying up than you would actually painting if you did. I mean, I certainly would. In no way assuming I know the kind of mess you're making over there, but... We've been at it, what? 15, 20 minutes already. I've got paint on my hands. Probably on my face and I can't tell. Ooh, you got a little bit of sprays up here on his helmet. There we are. This needs touched up here. He goes over to this pile. Let's see what we have on this side. I didn't do nearly as bad a job as I thought I did on these gaskets. Here we go, got a little bit of guy down here. Good to go. What do we have up here? Oh yeah. Little itty bitty marks. Little oversprays. They just start adding up. But that's good. Cleaned up, good to go. No big deal. His gaskets need cleaned up as well. This guy, might as well paint him twice here. Tidy these up just a wee bit. Look out up here. Look at all these mistakes. Fingers tidied up. That trigger finger's the big one, huh? Tidy up this little cod piece down here. Okay. That's exactly what we're after. We'll get this little backpack piece. We're on to the next one. Cup of noodles. Damn, boy, that's a clean coat of paint. How are you doing today? Just making sure that these little touch-ups need done. Thinking. Cup of Noodles says, just peachy. Chilling and working on some of my own stuff and checking out what other people are doing today. There you go. We got Deck Night in the building. Look out. How are you today, Deck Night? Just catching oversprays, tidying up where I did their gasket, like joints and whatnot, and then you know, like around the guns where I might have covered up like some trigger fingers and whatnot. We got Bravo 1. Tech Nate says, good and yourself? I'm doing well. It's a Saturday. I'm painting for a little bit before I head down to my local hobby shop, maybe for a little bit, visit some people. They're going to be gaming. I figure I'll go down there and paint. The eventual owner, well, I guess the current owner of these bubbly boys will be down there. We'll hang out for a little bit. Tidy that up. I don't know how that much black got up there. It's a mystery to me. It looks pretty clean. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's get his little fingers here and we'll be jamming. This little trigger pole here. That's a big one. The Zombie Dance Team Leader. Not just you, but many people. I don't get how you get such detail with such a big brush. I usually take a brand new 00 and remove half the hair. How do you do it? I mean, I may have read a little bit into the ARG, but I'll show you. It's not actually a secret. It's just the quality of the brush. So this is a size 2. It's a Winsor & Newton Series 7. There's other brands, Raphael's, Broken Toads, but basically what you're getting in the brush is there's different features you look for, and you need to decide what you like. My personal recommendation would be to buy a nice brush, size 1 or size 2, from a couple of brands, and see what you like about each of them. The cool thing about a good brush like this is that for the size of it, look at the point that it has. The tip on this is about as fine a point as you're going to find on any smaller brush. And that's a quality that a lot of the high-end brushes carry in the sizes it makes sense for miniature painting. So you can use a brush like this that has such a thick, this is the belly of the brush, here where my fingernail is. Don't mind all the milli-put, I was filling in gaps earlier. The belly is where all the paint is going to hold. So by having a larger brush, I can scoop up a lot of paint. You don't see me going back to the well too often. But I still have this fine point that I can use to work details. And that's a big thing. If you only have like one bristle, you don't hold any real paint. And you got to keep going back and forth and back and forth. The Cup of Noodles says, I think a metallic blue would look cool on the gun as a light brushing to add detail to its sheen. Yeah, that's a good idea. So far my plan was to do a quick dry brush of like a silver, and then I'm going to come back through after I just varnish them off. I'm going to come back through and I'll like pick out a couple little corner details on things to brighten them up. But maybe instead of going just neutral silver, you're bringing up a good idea. Perhaps I should off balance it a little bit of blue. It could look nice. So far I've got this bronze armor that has a lot of red in it. And then I did the red lenses. And we've got the burgundy, like a cold red in the shoulders. So I don't know if a blue would contrast too much. Then again, there is cobalt in this verdigris. There's a cobalt blue in there. Give me something to think about. Thank you, Cup. The Zombie Dance Team Leader says, yeah, it's all about the tip, like she said. But my problem is a lot of my detail, I can't brush that big into small areas. Well, they make them smaller. Like, for example, here's a triple aught. But here's the thing. As we look at these 2 points, how much smaller is the 000 from the size 2? The bristles are certainly smaller. It can hold far less paint. I'm just spinning them. Yeah, that's probably the finest the point's going to be. Trying to... Cup of Noodles says, worn down steel give off some blue hues like old used axes. That's a good point. Yeah, I dig it. Give it a look. Cup of Noodles says, and guns along with knives. We got Knock. Welcome. Just doing a little brush talk real quick. And the other thing about using a bigger brush and getting more comfortable with it is just practice. You know, it's going to take some time to get used to. You might think you could never get a brush this size into some detailed areas, and truthfully, there's some places that I don't, but I like the size 2 for my details. But I'm kind of a mad lad, and I use a size 6 for the bulk of my painting. This is a size 6 Masterson's Utrecht Masters acrylic. It's just like a shop brand here from the States. This is actually a full-size brush I nipped off, and I use these to paint like 80% of the model. I do all my base coats, everything with them. They're what I beat up, and then I can come through with my detail stuff and pick out things. But I like to use the biggest brush possible for any area because it distributes the most paint. And I'm a big fan also of wet blending. I wet blend almost all of my initial coats, and then I'll come back through and I'll layer on top of that or whatever needs to happen to get things to blend, like use my airbrush, so forth. But the bigger the brush, the smoother the blend is going to be. And so for me, that's where that whole habit started. I think he's looking pretty good. Just tidy up this little finger here. You could absolutely be using a smaller brush if you wanted to for this job. It's just practice, truthfully. Zombie Dance Team Leader says, I do have a couple decent brushes, but yeah, thanks. Looks like I need to be less of a cheap ass and buy a few really nice ones. They do help. You don't have to, they're not terribly expensive. Are you stateside or are you elsewhere? Cup of Noodles says it's coloration that forms a small amounts of heat over time by putting the metal under pressure, inwards or outward. Okay, so Cup of Noodles, I like what you're saying there. We got the Outward Mango 87. Is that what I saw there? Outward Mango. Welcome to the stream, and thank you so much for the follow. So that kind of heated effect, I fully intend to give to the larger guns. These details you're talking about, I love seeing in well-worn weapons that are like a pinnacle of the model. To me, on the standard Marines, I'm going to make those bolters sort of disappear. I specifically don't want them to look great. I want them to look kind of boring. So people are checking out the shoulder pads I work so hard on and the verdigris that's on their armor. Those I'm putting a lot of effort into. And then the guns are going to be real like blank, just a quick dry brush, glinting like highlights on them, and then, excuse me, but on these larger weapons, I am going to pack the blues, the purples, the oranges into the barrels of the gun, because those, I think, like this guy he's a backpack and a gun. You know, I specifically didn't do a whole lot of brightness. We got Moon Rain in here. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for the follow and the compliment. Thank you so much. Oh, so you go check out this website, Utrecht, U-T-R-E-C-H-T, Utrecht. Them and Blick have combined to one company. They have really good prices on the Raphael 8404s and the Winsor Newton Series 7s, and there's a lot of drama right now about quality control of brushes. I got to be honest with you. To me, those people are buying them from a secondhand retailer through like Amazon, and they're having problems. I have never had an issue with a brush I ordered from them, and if I did, they seem to have really good customer service. So give them a shot. Yeah, Moonray, thank you so much. Here's some of the things for those that are newer to the stream. Here's some of the stuff we work on normally. This is a nice little hobbit called the Spirit of Adventure. He's on Zombie Dance Team says Amazon, Walmart of the internet. Yeah, absolutely. Moonrain says, do you cast your models or purchase? They're all purchased. I do some sculpting on bases and like gap filling and things of that nature. I am not a sculptor, but I do like to paint. This is a guy I'm working on to practice different kinds of textures. Something that was pointed out to me earlier today is there's many different ways to define contrast, not just light and dark, not just warm and cold color, but also in matte and satin finish. So here I've gone for a more matted look on the pants, but a more shiny satin look on the vest.
just by pushing the color contrast to do that. There's no real difference in the paint finish here, at least not too much. His skin tones are kind of flat at this point. His hair needs done, but we're starting to get the leathers worn. That's another thing. A smooth texture versus a rough texture is another form of contrast. So we're working all of that into this little guy for an opportunity to learn. And he's pretty small. Moonrain says, "Oh, I'd love to purchase some of these models. I haven't painted in a while." Yeah, this little gentleman is a Punkit sculpt, an incredibly expressive sculptor, and I think Peter Punkit. I'd have to look at the company's name again. Fur Miniatures sells them. The Space Marines I'm working on are from Games Workshop. If you're into fantasy things, this is a Darksword miniature. He's King Richard the Lionheart. I'm still working out what color scheme I want for him. So he's King Richard actually as a lion. So there's your Lionheart. And because we're talking about Robin Hood, here is Sir Robin to go with King Richard. He's a little bit further along, but still pretty rough. Such a fun and expressive model he is. You see how mischievous he is from the front here. Oh yeah, he's very cute. Cup of Noodles says rough texture in the tail and elbows of the soldiers on leather. Solder? What's that word? Soldiers on leather would be neat. Absolutely. Like solders. And then we have Friar Tuck imagined as a toad. I can't get his eyes right, so I've set him down for now. Shoulders. Got it. LOL, so cute. I worked so long to get the blends on his robes correct, to get his little apron looking good, his skin to look the way that it looks, and I slapdashed this mug together, and it's my favorite part of the model. I was so frustrated about it. But yeah, his eyes, I've painted them 3 or 4 times. I can't get them to where I'm happy. So he sits here, nearly complete. He may be as done as he ever is going to be. The Zombie Dance team leader says, "Don't turn your back to him." Yeah. Well, I mean, certainly if you are a wealthy person stealing from the poor, he'll get you. He is snarling, huh? He's fun. I also work on the occasional bust. I've got... he's too big for the camera. But actually, you know what we could do? Give me just a second. For those that may be interested... Oh, yeah. Here's a link to my Instagram with some photos of what I've been working on lately. Here's a good example of that wet blending. I used a very large brush to wet blend several different browns into the leather tones here, as well as how I accomplished this varied look in his beard. Just wet on wet paints. And I'll come back through with a more detailed brush, and I'll select out, probably not a fine detail brush, but I'll select out chunks and do more refined color adjustments. And then I'll come back through and start picking out individual hairs. Got his skin a little bit varied tone, but still real rough, very mahogany. I need to settle on what I want to do these little adornments on his hood yet as well. But yeah, he's pretty cool. We'll continue working on him as time allows. He's like my we're talking earlier about like your mental diet. Like he's my mental break model. When I've painted too many Space Marines, I just pick him up and have some fun for a little bit. I think Utrecht was originally a company out of New York, by the way, Zombie. Hey, look at this guy. He did a really good job. We just need to pick out little bitty things on his fingers. I hate the sculpts on these down hands. He's like, his arm is broken. He's holding it like this. It's like an impossible angle. But what do I know? Wait a second. Tidy that up. Try to clean up these little finger marks here. Somebody says New York or New York City. Yes, there's a huge difference. I'm not sure if they were upstate originally. I know they have a store in the city, but I don't know about where they where they're from. There's plenty of companies that have shops in big cities just because, but I don't honestly know if they're upstate or what. Moonrain is now hosting. Well, thank you so much for the host. The love is real today. Yeah, we gotta tidy up some of these little marks here. This is just that last step before everything gets varnished and I start to do the panel lining. I would normally not worry about varnishing prior to doing the dark lining, but because it's a true metallic, I didn't realize this because I don't normally paint models that are like wholly non-metallic here, or I'm sorry, wholly like true metallic paints. But the paints I was using to dark line with started like dyeing the metal flakes on the portions where like I would make a mistake, because I'm very accustomed to keeping like a brush on hand to tidy up when I make the oopsies. But I did that and it like dyed some of the flecking. Like, oh man. So we're gonna put a coat of varnish down before I do the panel lining. That way it doesn't stain. Because I'm just not that tidy with it. And it'll also be good because these are going to get handled quite a bit to have an extra coat of protection. I don't know why I struggle with that word so much, but a little metallic's drying out and it's causing my brush to fork apart like this. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Also, this brush and I have been through quite a few miles. I've packed this thing full of paint all the way up into the Pharaoh many times.
People get worked up about that. We got Kevin Tauber. Kevin Tubber? Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Thank you so much for the follow. We got Renmo in the building. How are you now, Renmo? Charzan the Barbarian. What's up, Barbarian? It's a veritable who's who of Twitch personalities up here. Kevin Tuber. Thank you, Renmo. Hope everybody's weekend is going all right. Just doing a little pop-up stream to do some work before I head into town for a little while. I'm going to have to take a quick moment here and toss another log on the fire. Renmo says, and I just finished my first actual Battletech mini, not a test. Oh, that's really cool. Do you have any photos of it? Those of you that have not been following Renmo, I'm working on some 3D printing. Also does a lot of Gaslands and other automobiles. Where I tend towards the fantasy, Renmo tends towards the post-apocalyptic and robotic. Which I still think is cool. Oh, yeah. Good timing before I don't have any paint on my brush just yet. Let's have a peek. Oh, yeah. Let me see. That ought to work. Check this out here. So, this is not a test. Oh, I'm not signed in. Ugh, I'll save it. I'll get signed in here after the stream. We'll get you another like on that. I gotta bend my arm. Gotta get over top of some of these models. I like the blue and the green. I also like that you use some control with your brighter colors, and instead of painting the whole thing one color, you've got different panes. I think that's a really solid play there. Oh, it's privated anyway. Okay. I should have asked if you wanted me to share that or not. I am so sorry. I will make sure to do that next time. I have to check my phone here in a moment. A lot of people that, my wife included, are on the road this weekend for a wedding. Just trying to make sure nobody needs anything while they're out. There we go. Renmo says, no, I wanted to share that. Cool. Very good, very good. I just sometimes take for granted that things might not be wanted to be shared and whatnot. Just the Imgur link is not shareable with the community because the miniature community on Imgur are trolls for some reason. I painted a set of Gloomhaven miniatures a while back for a friend. He was like, do you do commissions? I'm like, yeah, but I haven't really done like anything major yet. And he's like, well, me and my friends love playing Gloomhaven, and we've got to take a break here. It's vacation season, whatnot. He's like, but I would love to get some painted up. So I paint them up. For the record, they're real rough models to work with. Like if you're used to Games Workshop or some fine casted, I shouldn't say fine cast because that's a type of model from G-Dub, but like some finer detailed models, they are real rough. I'm gonna tell them, like, I can't even, like, I know we were talking about what I might charge to do the work, like, but don't even look at my top tier of work because it's not gonna happen, man. But I think I did a pretty good job with them. I posted them up on Imgur and Reddit for that example, and I had a poor experience with both.
I had a far better interaction with people on Facebook and Instagram. I just don't have time for the toxic nature of things. If you don't want to be polite, or you want to be just rude for rude's sake, just don't. Like, you don't know me, you're not ever going to come meet me or try to be productive because you're not trying to help me, you know? It's just, I don't get it. And everybody's so tough on the other side of a screen. I don't get it. I had somebody from the Gloomhaven Reddit boards actually delete one of my posts because they said it was spam. Because I had posted over the course of a week, the week I finished them, I posted as I finished them. So like, I posted one day, I posted two another, one another. Just the initial 6 models over the course of, I think, 8 days, I posted them all. And they took my final post down, which was a picture of all of them on their, like, I made a big display base for them, and they said this was spam. And I never responded. I unfollowed the group. I didn't even care. That is frustrating. Renmo says, so I love sharing it with you guys, just not with all the interwebs. I understand that. Yeah, with Reddit. Here, let me show you what was... Let's take a look at what was spam. So I did this Instagram story for it, and here's the project. Boom, tinkered, done. And I shared the picture, not the video. The Brute. The sculpts are very, like, muddled. I didn't love that. It was just like one each day. Each day I just gave him a little post. That was it. Craghart, and nothing bad happened each one, but this post, this one, this was the spam. I think I forgot the... I also gave him the palette. I used project boards for... I used these project boards for it, as opposed to, like, I typically use like a parchment paper and just toss it. But I actually used good project board, the little one for when I was traveling, the bigger one for like the bulk of the job. And I was just like, here's all the colors, man. Something you could frame if you like. Thought that was a nice little thing to give with the commission. And there's Spellweaver. But yeah, that was considered by one of the moderators as spam. Anaphylaxis says, wow, I mean, why have it if people aren't supposed to post? That's good work, my dude. Visibly annoyed. Yeah, I was frustrated by it. Part of the critique that they gave was I allowed it to go on this long because people seemed to like it. Because like they were all rising to the top of the community. Never again. I've got to paint the rest of them. Here. Actually, while we're at it. Not sure what's happening here. Yeah, so there's a lot of models in that game, and so I did like a whole display board. So as the project goes on,
Oh, there we go. This is the direction. So he has the middle piece right now. And I've got everything else set up to display the rest of the models as they come out. Like, there's going to be a whole thing. But I'm not sharing it with them. Just seem rude. Charzan says jealousy is an ugly thing. It's not a good color on anybody. I don't know. It's not even like they're that professionally done, but just seemed like a... I was more frustrated at the whole process. Like, out of all the posts, you couldn't just get rid of each one and leave the one that was everybody, like all the models. It just seemed... just rage-inducing. But... And in truth, the reason I posted them on Reddit in the first place is because the gentleman that purchased them was big in the community. Like, it would be like one of you coming in here because you're big in Twitch, like Renmo and Charzan and Anaphylaxis. Like, all of you are active in Twitch. And so it would be as if you wanted to share something with the people you interact with daily, which is why I went into that community in the first place. And I was like, I'm sorry, dude. I didn't realize this was going to happen. But it is what it is. Not to in any way put my emotions about that Gloomhaven Reddit sub on how you feel about Imgur there, Renmo. We have here where Sam Jackson was saying, there you go, Renmo. But just have to say the Gasland sub is amazing and so supportive. See, that's good. And it's not a reflection on the entirety of the Gloomhaven sub. It's a reflection on one of their moderators, and I didn't feel like fighting with them. It's like, why bother? What I did may have been petty. I did delete all the posts. Why am I adding content to your sub? And then moved on. We got here. Oh, see, on this one I was a little bit sloppy. Let's clean that up. Yeah, Renmo says it's basically like the Twitch family here, except just for Gaslands. Nah, that basically how the entirety of Imgur is, except they're just, hey, let's insult this person's work no matter how good or bad it is. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. I believe you have seen The Mandalorian, right? I have. I'd like to, make sure you put out a little spoiler alert if you're going to give anything away. I know it's still pretty new. I really enjoyed it. Rogue One is my favorite of the newer movies. And I really enjoyed The Mandalorian. I think it's my second favorite of what might even be my new most favorite of what they've done with the universe since Disney took over, I suppose is what I'm trying to say. Renmo says, nah, it has nothing to do with the story. Okay, yeah, please.
I mean, I'm happy to talk about all the spoilers, but I don't want to make the assumption that everybody else has seen it. If you haven't, you should. If that's your thing. All right, let's see. It might be time for a little bit of airbrush work. Oh God. Oh, Conk, thank you so much for the follow. What do we have here? Look at the ridiculous stormtroopers can't eat pizza. Conk, that's out of control. Ugh, that's all top notch. All right, let me plug in my compressor here. That's not my compressor. What the hell? Let me plug in. Enough plugs over here to. Might be time for new airbrush hoses. This one's a little dirty. What do we have here? Anaphylaxis says I'm going to step away from the computer for a bit, but I'm keeping this open. All right, Anna. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's been good to chat, from the other side. Just a moment here, Renmo, and I'll get you caught up. Whoops. We had a shoulder pad. Here he is. All right, Remo said just watched up to episode 6 of the show so far. We're talking about The Mandalorian, and my mom really loves it, so I'm making a diorama for her with Mando walking down a red sandy area with a baby next to him, the little child. There you go. Need to print the duo though. Yeah, you're gonna need them both. Are you gonna put the little one on foot or in his little crib? Remo says, going to keep real vague, but you'll know what I'm talking about. We just finished the episode with the space station and the blinky thing at the end. Oh, yeah. The one with Bill Burr. He's so funny. Actually open up my palette here and get some brush work on. Let's see here. Just pack this in there for coverage. Let that dry. Over here.
we're just tidying up this shoulder just a little bit. Packing a little bit of this teal down here along the edge. I think a little bit of this can be done along here as well. We really like that episode, the pod. Yeah, that one, the episode was tense for sure. Oh, yeah, also Battletech mech that I showed you is actually for my brother as a post-Christmas present. One of 4, I'm going to do the rest of them over time, and he really liked his gift. That's awesome. Renma says at least the first fourth of the gift, for sure. I can imagine. Erase that a little bit. Same thing over here. Put just a little bit of this blue down. Then we're going to wet blend it away. Entirely too much paint, huh? Same thing over here. Just sort of erase a little bit about that transition. Just not as far because we're on the back side. And then here's our highlight color. Now I'm just gonna use my brush a little bit clean to feather the transitions. That's a shoulder pad. Renmo says, "Oh yeah, Chris, I also can print Dogo Imperial Guard. It's so cool and funny. What's that look like? A dog? Like a dog? Like a legitimate?" Feathering this out a little bit. Coverage is not the best up there, but we'll get it over the course of a coat or two. Starting to get that transition in place now. Oh, we're still just a little bit tacky in this corner. Put this blue down. Feather it back. Perhaps pull it up a little that way. Just going to take it this solid burgundy for now. I don't feel like I'm getting enough coverage out of the highlight color. We'll let that dry and then just coming in with a little bit of this purple because I feel like I started to lose it. Sometimes when you start shading and highlighting, you can lose those mid-tones. I think this is just an example of that. And now we'll start to bring in that next color. It's an they are anthropomorphic dogs in Imperial Guard outfits. Those sound pretty cool. Kind of like these little details here. The other one smoothed up as it dried as well. For sure. A little bit more of that highlight tone, that brown. There we have it. Time to leave it be. Let's try with this one. Seems like we have run our YouTube course here. Give me just a moment, I'll fix the music. Irma says, gotta go. Doctor appointment soon. Well, good luck. I hope everybody is well. And we'll catch up with you down the road. Thank you for coming in and chatting. It's always nice to catch up. Just trying to keep things smooth here. Just showing you don't need an airbrush for everything. Do pretty smooth work without it. Just practice a little bit of brush control. We're just going to pack some of this blue in, just here in the very back of the recess. Clean the brush and just push it to the very edges. So it's in there, but only a very little bit. Maybe a little bit more, we think. Let that dry. We'll put it down on the front, clean the brush, push it into the recesses, pull it out a little bit along the edges. So it's there, but not a ton. Maybe it would look good the whole way along. But only if we erase it down to just the finest amount. I got some pretty smooth shoulder pad myself. Too much paint. Just working back and forth here between these colors. The purple tone into the burgundy tone. And the highlight. I don't use any glazing mediums for this. I know people like to incorporate all manner of aid. Just thick paint, painted on thinly. Let's get that transition looking smooth. And then here in this corner, I know that purple comes across really, really dark, but it's a good purple. I'm just gonna two brush blend it back. Probably need a little bit more in there. Drag it out each direction. I'm just going to keep it very thin, but still noticeable. And there we have it. Boom. I might do a little bit up here as well. Well, that's pretty highlighted up there. Leave it. Let's see what we have here. Looking pretty all right. While we're at it, let's fix up his lenses here. I gotta settle on what I want to do for. These guys have like these Dragon Ball Z style rangefinders on some of them, and they've got these awkward lenses on others. You gotta make a decision because they can't just sit here and be gold or brass or whatever. We gotta do something with those. I just feel like lenses are like the hardest. Huh. Should probably let that black dry a little bit. I should let everything in there dry a little bit. Okay. Just see here, we're gonna start to layer in the weathering. We got Benson Striker. Well, thank you so much. How are you today, sir? See how that works out. Giving us a little wiggle here. These backpacks are enormous. I thought the other ones were going to have a lot of verdigris on them, but I think these are going to be the ones to take the cake. Pendle says, hey Chris, doing well. Just relaxing for a bit before I get back to priming. Ugh, the never-ending feature of priming. Yeah, priming will get to you sometimes. You gotta take a break for not just the mental, but for the old lungs, you know. New Age Ronin. Well, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. How are you today? We are just painting up some Space Marines. I am working on a multi-layer verdigris, just that red kind of weathering effect that can happen to bronze and copper. I think that's enough. Start out with a cobalt blue, and I build it up into the different green tones from there. Benson says I wear a respirator and use a vacuum booth, but yeah, well, how fancy are you? Vacuum booth. I need to buy something of that nature. I like this kind of camo green here because it shares some qualities of the pale verdigris green as well as this cobalt blue. It's like a nice intermediary between the two. Personally, I try to keep this a little bit more diluted than the cobalt, and I think the effect that I get is nice because it allows, even though I don't completely cover the blue, it allows some of it to shine through. And because they're friendly colors, and I think there's cobalt in this, they blend well. So you can come through where they're still a little bit tacky and get a nice look. And all three of these colors are a bit translucent just by their nature. So it takes quite a bit of the layering process to get them opaque anyhow. Let's get this going up in here. Yeah, missed a little bit in here. Get that tidied. Good to go. And the burgundy green. Yeah, we need a little bit more. far better flow. Just get this in there a little bit. This is a kind of color that I think you have to lay down in 2 coats. Be sparing with it on the first pass and be very specific with it on the second. Little dabbles. Zombie Dance Team leader says you need to do something about breathing the vapor, but yet is a paint licker. How does that work? I enjoy consumption in moderation. I don't know what to say to that. I said probably should. Probably still won't do anything about it. I wear my badge of brush liquordom like proudly. Okay. Paintbrushes always come into a good tip. Paintbrushes always getting work done. People are just blowing up the old phone today. I guess it's Saturday. Alright. Now that second pass. Oops. We're trailing off the camera here. I'm so sorry. This is the one that really makes it happen. Just in the open parts, I tend to do more stippling than I do streaking, just because of the pooling, and I don't know how to make it look more natural than that. Especially on the rounder surfaces. Maybe along an edge we can do something different, but there you have it. Benson says, got to keep the tip straight. Yep. No better ways to do it, for sure. Many have tried, all have failed. But yeah, this is about to turn into a new hour on us. Let's see who all is online and maybe want to pass this party on to. Zombie Dance Team says no comment. Already went there earlier. Oh goodness. Just kidding. Let's see, who do we have to raid? Oh, a couple big names online that are... You know, Jan always raids me, and I never get to raid Jan. So let's start that. We're gonna go actually raid the man themselves.
and finally get to catch them back on all the love and respect that they share in the community. I know there's not many of us, but let's get over there and let Jan know what you think. Zombie says, sort of, don't mind me in the middle of my plan to finish that bottle of Kaio from the other day. You had lofty goals for the weekend. But yeah, Jan is an incredible painter if you're not familiar. Let's go see what he's working on. Looks to be some Kingdom Death.